Please welcome Senior Vice President and Chief Development Officer from the Jewish Federation of Greater Pittsburgh, Brian Eglash.
Boker Tov. I just want to recognize my Pittsburgh Jewish Lion family who's here today in the front. And they were with me and our community and lived these very moments. I was in the car driving home from errands when my wife called. There's been a shooting near Tree of Life, she said. You should avoid the area. Near Tree of Life? My synagogue? I hope no one was hurt. She called again to tell me that the shooting was at the Tree of Life building. Sirens were wailing, traffic began snarling, and I struggled to work around the jams and gridlock. At Tree of Life, where my family and I had attended high holiday services only a few weeks before, where I'd been called to the bima many times, where I had celebrated and prayed and mourned, my spiritual home. As I finally pulled into my driveway, I understood, even in that early moment, my life would now be divided into the time before that and the time to come. October 27th would become one of those numbered dates seared into our brains. My wife was inside, glued to CNN.
There has been a shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Just moments ago, police reporting there are multiple casualties with 3 officers shot. The suspect is in custody. Police are telling people in that area to avoid the area. They are also telling people who live in that neighborhood to stay in their houses and lock their doors, saying it is not safe to be out.
The Squirrel Hill neighborhood is home to a thriving Jewish community. Tonight, it is mourning 11 people murdered here in a mass shooting yesterday, the deadliest attack on Jews in American history.
This is the most horrific crime scene I've seen in 22 years with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Members of the Tree of Life Synagogue, conducting a peaceful service in their place of worship, were brutally murdered by a gunman targeting them simply because of their faith.
It's a very sad day. We always said never again, but it did happen again. It's just unbelievable. It's 11 people lost their life just because they are Jews.
My heart goes out to all these families. This should not be happening. And we're going to figure out what we need to do as a community to pull together.
My phone rang again. It was Jeff Finkelstein. He told me it was really bad and he needed me there ASAP. And so began one of the most difficult and challenging periods of my life. While there was still an active shooter in the building, Federation was already there, behind police lines, launching our communal response. We called key staff into the JCC, where we set up a command post. We strategized and implemented our communal response. We were organized, efficient, and made a difference. This is what Federation is. This is what Federation does. The Islamic community of Pittsburgh linked arms with us and raised money because we had spent years getting to know the head of the Islamic Center. The same thing happened with the Sikhs, the African Americans, and Christian communities. The Bhutanese community in Pittsburgh had been resettled by our JF and CS, and they too were with us. But none of that was by accident. Federation had been nurturing these relationships for years through the work of the annual campaign. Your gift planted the seeds that made so much of our response possible, because it wasn't just our brothers and sisters in Pittsburgh who showed solidarity, it was all of you in this room. It was the entire Federation movement and our entire Jewish family. It was all of you. JFNA, through its secure community network, SCAN, had an expert on the ground within hours to work side by side with us. And an additional JFNA senior staffer arrived within days to help us. UJA Federation of New York sent members of their marketing and campaign teams to us to help us relaunch our campaign. The Cleveland and Baltimore Federations helped us process over 6,000 donations to the Victims of Terror Fund. Numerous other federations provided help and reached out to offer. Our overseas partners, such as the Israel Trauma Coalition, stepped in to help, arriving on the ground the very next day with teams of mental health professionals who unfortunately have way too much experience with terrorist attacks. The list goes on, and none of it could have happened without you. We felt your presence and support in our time of need. This is why Federation matters. This is why your gift matters. In the weeks that followed, we provided immediate financial assistance to victims and their families to help with Shiva and day-to-day costs, including the injured first responders. Our board members hand-delivered these checks. We provided assistance with funerals and Shivas. We paid for security at all synagogues and institutions for a month. JF&CS provided guidance to families on how to talk to their kids. The board approved a charter to form the Pittsburgh Jewish Community Relief Fund, an independent committee made up of the most influential civic leaders tasked to determine how to distribute the funds donated to the Victims of Terror Fund that we had established. These are just a few examples of the countless activities that Federation led during these early days post-massacre. As Jeff Finkelstein said, Federation was there on that Saturday because we were there on Friday. Amidst the terrible losses and carnage, we were there. Just 6 weeks before the massacre, our Federation security director provided active shooter training with the rabbi and staff at the Tree of Life building. We noticed certain exit doors were blocked, meaning people would have been trapped. We counseled the staff to open the exits and further explain to the rabbi, Rabbi Myers, that while there were halachic reasons not to carry a mobile phone on Shabbat, he needed to have one at the ready in case of an emergency. And he did. All of this mattered during the shooting, and it was only possible because of your gift to the campaign. It literally saved lives. Your gift provides Federation with the staff, the agencies, tools, and relationships that keep your Federation strong and keep you safe. The decision you make about your gift is an affirmative statement of community. What resources will your Federation have to build a vibrant future? How prepared will your community be for the everyday challenges and, God forbid, the emergencies? Federation does so much, but we can't do anything without a strong and successful community of leaders like you. The Federation movement has supported the Jewish people in our past, in our darkest moments, and our victorious moments. And with your help, it will be there for the Jewish people in the future. What we do through Federation is more powerful, impactful, and relevant than ever before. Your increased investment in your present and future is vital. We were there on October 27th because we were here on October 26th, 25th, and for more than a century before. Doing what we always do, building community. You have the ability, the power, the privilege to step up your campaign support so that your community is best positioned for the day-to-day needs and for those moments like a hurricane in Houston, wildfires in Los Angeles, or the worst anti-Semitic incident in American history in Pittsburgh. Now is the time to increase your commitment to our campaign. That is our message back in Pittsburgh, and that is my message back to you. During the early days after the massacre, my wife and I felt the need to further increase our campaign gift to the major donor level. Dafka, because of the impact we saw in Pittsburgh. Please join us in increasing your annual gift this year. Next week is Tu B'Shvat, the Jewish New Year of Trees. Tree of Life is a metaphor for Torah. Let us make this the year that we deepen our roots and strengthen our communities so the branches of our trees will flourish for generations to come.